Good afternoon, Campbell McCreary here, Amvest Capital, New York City. Welcome to the Amvest Capital Inc. live webinar with Equity Metals. Equity trades on the venture as EQTY and as EQMEF on the OTCQB. Do hope you'll enjoy today's program. It will also be available in replay mode. Please send in your questions during the show or around the Q&A. We'll ask the questions in real time. Really looking forward to hearing what larger listening audience thinks about the company. Amvest Capital, of course, is a New York-based specialist investment management and corporate finance firm focused solely on the natural resource sector. Please note this important disclaimer. This call is most certainly and definitely for informational purposes only. This call will be available about an hour after we wrap up, and you can get a copy of the replay to share or watch again at amvestcapital.com/replays. We have with us today Rob McDonald, Vice President of Exploration at Equity, and it's going to take us through the story from a bit of an exploration standpoint, and then we'll open it up to questions. So Rob, if you want to turn on your webcam, we'll dive in.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Good. Campbell. And thank you all for tuning in to get this latest update on our progress with Equity Metals, and specifically the Silver Queen project located in West Central British Columbia. And so with Equity, we've come on with Amvest before. We have presented, and this is a little bit more of an update. We've had some terrific success in our drilling on the project over this last 6 to 9 months, including identification of high-grade mineralization, like what we see here with the ruby silver mineralization, high-grade silver in the camp vein, and we've had other results, and I'd just like to get into that and explain and detail that in a little bit more. Oh, I guess I should say we are Equity Metals Corporation. We trade on both the TSX Venture Exchange as EQTY, as well as on the OTCQB as EQMEF. I will be making some forward-looking statements. These are aspirational in nature. It's by my nature as a geologist that we're always targeting, always trying to achieve. And these statements should be taken as such as we go through. And so with the company right now, why should one be investing in the company? And a number of reasons. We have an experienced corporate management with a backroom support by the Manex Resource Group. We're one of 5 different companies that operate under the Manex banner, based out of Vancouver, British Columbia. These are exploration companies, junior exploration companies, mostly trading on the Venture Exchange, and we've operated the Equity company under this banner for the last 2 years, with a focus on exploration really in this past 9 to 12 months. The group features a geological team that is very experienced. Myself, the president of the company, Joe Keyes, and Colin Hamilton, our database geologist, are primarily managing the project. And this is a group of that have some experience in exploration, throughout North America, but specifically in northern British Columbia. We were involved in the development of the identification and development of resources at the Homestake Ridge project about 10 years ago up in the Golden Triangle. Identified over 1 million ounces gold and silver in that high-grade deposit, and we're bringing a lot of that experience to bear in our work on the Silver Queen project. To date, we've completed since in 2019. the Mannix Group assumed management of the equity company. We looked and cleaned it up, did some financings, and prepared it and new drill targeting, and started drilling back in August of 2020. Since that time, we've completed 31 holes, totaling just under 10,000 meters of drilling at the Silver Queen property. We have 4 of the initial targets tested on the project. We see some further exploration potential and a lot of blue sky in the project, and I'll get into that in a little bit more detail. We're exploring for high-grade epithermal vein systems. We've identified very significant high-grade bonanza grade intercepts at both the Camp vein and the number 3 vein systems, and are looking, as we move through 2021 and into 2022, the ability to systematically add to these results and systematically add to a mineral resource that already exists on the property. We're targeting a district-wide property, a large property package with over 20 epithermal veins to test. We've just started. We've only tested 4 of them. We'll be going back to about 3 of them at this stage in our next stage of exploration, and we'll continue exploring and developing the district-wide potential and testing new targets as we move forward. The Silver Queen project already has mineral resources, a high-grade mineral resource base with indicated and inferred resources totaling 440,000 ounces gold equivalent. This is primarily gold and silver mineralization with some base metal credits. It's at a relatively high cutoff, and it's relatively high average grades. And so this gives us a good base to grow the resource as we continue to explore and expand these vein systems that we've identified or on the property. We've had some fantastic success. And most recently, last week, we were able to put out a news release which included bonanza grades of over 14,000 grams per ton silver, 7,600 grams per ton silver, and over 11,000 grams per ton silver in the Camp vein at the Silver Queen project. These are examples of some of the high-grade potential of the project and why we feel strongly that we can continue to grow high-grade resources, and that these are the steps that you take in order to build a mine and to build an economic project. And so we're very enthusiastic by the grade that we're seeing on the projects, and looking forward to continue expanding these mineral resources as we move forward. So the Silver Queen project, it's located, as I said, in west central British Columbia. We're located in the foothills of the Coast Range mountains. And so we're not up in the mountains. We're not up in the Golden Triangle. And so we have very easy access, easy logistics for the project. And we're surrounded by producing companies in an area that is now increasing. The exploration in the area is now increasing quite substantially, with a significant amount of work now starting to go on every single year. Because we have such good access, we have low exploration costs. Our exploration season is year-round. We've just completed a February to April project, and very successfully. That's where some of those latest results came from. And so we have some advantages compared to other parts of British Columbia, and particularly the parts that are located up in the mountains, or less populated, more remote areas. We have a high-grade mineral resource with which to build on. There is also, because this was an historic mine site, there's historical underground development throughout the project. And this gives us, in some cases, in some places, underground access for infill drilling or bulk sampling, which might be required for feasibility studies and specifically for mining, and also reduces the costs for that pre-development work, which can be quite expensive to continue to de-risk the project for the benefit of the shareholder. We're surrounded by producers. A number of majors and mid-tier miners are nearby, and this gives a potential for JV or acquisition, down the road as we develop the project. So this is, we've been exploring on the project since August 2020. We've had 3 phases of exploration. We've had some fantastic results. You can see in the number 3 vein, the highlights here are high grades of gold equivalency, gold biased mineralization, so very high grade, up over 20 and 30 gram per ton gold equivalency. These sit within broader zones of mineralization. These are good, what would say mineable thicknesses of mineralization. And so again, a bit of a gold bias associated with the number 3 vein. In the camp vein, we are seeing some absolutely exceptional grades, some clear bonanza grade silver mineralization. You can see the highlights here is, over 56,000 grams per ton silver equivalent. This sits within a 4.5 meter interval of 4,700 grams per ton silver equivalent. So again, very high grade mineralization. Similarly, in hole 31, 14,000 grams per ton silver equivalent within a much broader zone, 7.7 meters of over 1,000 grams silver equivalent. So again, very high grade mineralization. And you are seeing some good mineable thicknesses with associated high grade mineralization as well. The highlight intercept, of course, was the 0.3 meters of 56,291 gram per ton silver equivalent. This was from hole 10, which was drilled at the camp vein. This is a photo of that vein. It's a quartz barite vein with this red material. It's called ruby silver. It's a sulfur salt, a silver-bearing sulfur salt, usually indicative of kilo plus silver mineralization in these grades. And so, of course, that was the highlight. It sits within a broader zone of mineralization, and we've been stepping off. We hit this in our first program, and so we've now had 2 programs to step off and expand mineralization in the camp vein, and we've successfully done it with some of our later holes, as you'll see a little bit later in the presentation. So with the in terms of the share price and the stock and how we've been doing, we took over the project in late 2019, and we're doing a lot of compilation through 2020. We started exploration in August. Did a financing and started exploration in August, and that carried through the fall of 2020. And while we were exploring and being able to put out results, we were also seeing a strengthening in our share price, good share volume as well. And we've held stable in this, this share price in and around, 20 to 25 cents. And I think today we're up around 27, 28 cents. So, we continue to build value in the project, primarily through exploration. And have had tremendous amount of success and want to continue doing that in the coming year. Looking at the capital structure, we're still a relatively low market cap. This was based on an earlier share price of 23 cents. So, still under $20 million market capitalization. Not a tremendous amount of shares in the float. With participation from management and insiders, friends and family, as they like to say, as well as some institutional participation in this last round of financing. Directors and management, very experienced group of people with exploration, both internationally as well as within British Columbia and exploring areas within British Columbia. As I said, Lauren, and a little bit more detail on the people. The chairman of the board is Lawrence Page. He's been involved with major world-class projects like the Peñasquito project in Mexico, Hemlo and Eskay Creek. Joe Kiesis, he's the president and director of the EQTY company. He runs the Bravada Gold Corporation, works in exploration in Nevada, and we also work together at the Homestake Ridge project located in northern BC, and we're working on that project for about 10 years and continue and developed high-grade mineralized resources there. John Kerr, Again, very experienced geological engineer with a lot of experience in both exploration and mining, particularly with a focus in British Columbia as well. So, you know, a good technical group, good corporate group that are advancing the project and moving the project or the company forward. So, in terms of the projects that we have within the company, we have two main projects. There is some a royalty project in and around the Greenwood area of southern BC, as well as a silica sand project in Saskatchewan. But the two main projects that we have are the Silver Queen property in west central British Columbia and the Monument and WO diamond properties up in the Northwest Territories. The diamond properties, diamonds aren't doing as well these days in the market. We continue to maintain the projects. The two projects are very well located adjacent to the Diavik and EQTY mines, so they're very well positioned to take flight once the price of diamonds start picking up, or the EQTY and Diavik mines start really running out of material. And so we're continuing to maintain those projects at minimal cost. And looking forward to a time when diamond prices start increasing a bit. The flagship of the company is the Silver Queen project, again, you know, located in west central British Columbia. We're, you know, located adjacent to historical mines at Huckleberry and the EQTY silver mine. We're located in the Skeena Arch, which forms the northern boundary of the Nechako Plateau, which is a central plateau within British Columbia. And again, it's an excellent place to be working. You can see as I zoom into the property package, we've got a large property package here, 73 square miles. So I think it's over about 120 square kilometers. We're very well located. This is Highway 16. It runs right through central British Columbia. We can be accessed south from the town of Houston, and accessed by Forest Service Road, which runs right through the property. There's power lines running right through the property, so you have easy access. You have the potential of getting electricity up to a mining development area. We're surrounded by majors and mid-tiers. There are 4 producers in the area: Teck, Imperial Metals, Centerra, and Newmont Gold Corp. 2 past producers. The EQTY silver mine is located to the northeast. Huckleberry mine, it's on care and maintenance, and may be activating fairly soon with the uptick in copper price. It's located to the southwest of the property. There are other major projects like the Berg project. It's Centerra Gold, now optioned to surge copper. And then other exploration projects like the Buck property, and that's Sun Summit. Have been drilling on that and have had some terrific success on the on the Buck property last year. Some good gold mineralization. We have Copper Mountain Mining. It was exploring on the Fenton project, and Teck is exploring on their CR project. Again, another porphyry copper project located to the north of the Silver Queen property. So in terms of now zooming in a little bit more into the Silver Queen project, you know, our focus here and our target here is the expansion of the high-grade epithermal veins that are located on the property. Up to 20 different veins have been identified historically. These were originally discovered back in the early 1900s, and so this has a fairly long and over 100-year history of certainly of exploration with some limited production. There was some production up in this area of the project, over in this area in the early 30s, and then again in the 70s. Back in the mid to late 80s, one of the Hunt brother companies, Houston Minerals, had the project, and they started significant pre-development work and feasibility work on the number 3 vein, looking to put that into production. This resulted in over 9 kilometers of historic workings, and you can see them outlined in red here, coming into the main number 3 vein. The number 3 vein itself extends for over 1.2 kilometers and then further continues further to the southeast into the NG3 vein system. We have other major systems at the Camp vein, which received about 50 historic drill holes already, and then other targets like the Coal Lake and the George Lake areas, which highlight the exploration potential of the property. The number 3 vein is open along strike and at depth, and we've completed some drilling to test both of those mineralized projections. The Camp vein had historic reserves on there, so these are non-43-101 compliant, and these form the basis for much of our exploration work as we continue to advance and build resources, systematically build resources on the Camp vein target. So in terms of the project, again, just want to highlight the easy access and logistics of the area. This is the entrance to the mine site. So you come right off the Forest Service Road. Very easy access. You can drive right up to it. You can drive up to most of the drill stations. So you can see that here. And this is drilling on the Camp vein system. I think that was the second hole on the Camp vein system. Also, you can get around. It's rolling hills, farmland, and some forestry. So we're not in the mountains. You can get around quite easily in ATVs and other vehicles. This is a summary of the mineral resource estimate that currently exists on the property. It's 440,000 gold equivalent ounces, primarily gold and silver mineralization, with a fairly good base metal credit, particularly the zinc credit. The other highlights are that we have about a 50-50 split in indicated and inferred tonnage, and those are relatively high-grade resources. At 9.3 grams per ton gold equivalent and in the indicated category, and 7.5 grams per ton gold equivalent in the inferred category. So this is an excellent resource base to build on as we continue exploring the property. And so this is what we did. This is the number 3 vein, sits in here. This is the Camp vein area. You can see the holes or the stations in blue are our drilling over the last 3 phases of work since August 2020. The gray dots with the stems, that's all the historic drilling. And so there's been around 500 different drill holes drilled on the property. Much of that occurring on the number 3 vein, which was drilled out down to around 300 to 350 meters. We see a tremendous amount additional potential on the project. We've come in, we've drilled down dip of the number 3 vein, tested the solid just to get an idea of what we're looking at. We've now extended mineralization to the southeast and into the NG3 vein system. We've now concentrated a fair bit of drilling now on the Camp vein. 16 drill holes on the Camp vein system located here. Again, there was around 50 drill holes that were drilled previously. There was some issues historically of trying to tie all of that together. We've done some more recent modeling based on some of our own drilling on the project, and we believe we've resolved the orientation of some of these veins, and it opens up new exploration areas for us that we plan to drill continuing in 2021. The other thing to note here with the general layout of the veins is that there are 2 main vein orientations. This northwest southeast orientation, you can see that in the number 3 vein, you can see that in the Coal Lake vein, and you're also seeing some east-west orientations. And you see that in the Camp vein, then going into the number 5 switchback and transitioning through the number 3 vein and into the NG3 vein system. You see that into the north area, going from the bunkhouse to the George Lake area, and then up in the Coal Lake area as well. And this is significant because we believe that this east-west system was relatively underexplored and it has a tremendous amount of potential for resource expansion. Going from the Camp vein to the end of the NG3 vein, that's 2.5 kilometers long of strike length, with only around 600 meters that's really been drilled off in this portion of the number 3 vein. So we're seeing some tremendous exploration potential. There is historic drilling in a number of these sites that have returned high-grade intercepts and gives us areas to build off. So this isn't necessarily going to be wildcat drilling. We're going to be systematically stepping off of known historical high-grade intercepts and continuing to systematically expand the mineral zones and building those into mineral resources, which we can then add to an already existing high-grade mineral resource base on the project. And that mineral resource base was primarily on the number 3 vein here. So all of this is open, 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 and all of this is open. Again, a tremendous amount of exploration potential on the project. With 10,000 meters, we've literally only scratched the surface, with drilling getting down to around 175 meters on the camp vein, and now wide open for further exploration. So this is what we did on the camp vein. You can see a bunch of the historic drilling in here. These are the pierce points in this long section and the historic drilling, all relatively shallow within 80 meters of surface. The SQ20 holes and the SQ21 holes are holes that we've completed during these last 3 phases of drilling on the project. You can see that we came in, did some due diligence drilling right in the heart of the known mineralization in the camp vein. We started stepping out our systematic step outs, and we did that and with some great success in hole 10, 0.3 meters of 56,000 gram per ton silver equivalent. Excellent step out in hole 15 as well. And then now most recently, we've stepped down about 170 meters below surface with 3 holes, so 29, 30, and 31. Each of these holes returned bonanza grade silver mineralization and good mineable widths of high grade silver mineralization. So we've now opened up the camp vein target both to the west and significantly, most significantly, at depth here. This is examples of the new modeling that we've done on the camp vein system. Excuse me. You can see here all of the historic drilling, some of our own drilling in here as well. And originally, this was being modeled as more of a northwest-southeast type vein system. They were having a lot of trouble trying to hold it together. And then we noticed or recognized some of the orientations of veins identified on surface in the number 5 vein system. Veins that were identified in these old 1970s adits, the old 70s Earl adit on here, and looking at these east-west orientations. And so we started looking at the camp vein as a potential, as having a stronger east-west vein orientation. And we've successfully put together a series of vein projections. Some of these extend over 250 meters. We've now drilled some of these down 170 meters. They're wide open at depth. There's open mineralization in the hanging wall, open mineralization in the footwall. And so now what we have here at the camp vein are at least 2 of the veins with 250 meter strikes, the potential to add another 150 to 200 meters laterally as we extend to the east into the number 5 system and then beyond. So this is going to be one of the main focuses for our upcoming work, to essentially drill out these mineralized zones, extend them down dip, and then continue exploration in the number 5 vein area and beyond as we move to the east. In the number 3 vein system, this is the mineral resource that's known to date. And this is where the 440,000 gram per ton gold equivalent mineralization is. Similar to the camp vein, we drilled some holes internal into the block model just to get an idea of what we're looking at and to get an idea of the any mineralized halos, any hanging wall or footwall veins in the system. And then I've started the process of systematically drilling down dip and expanding mineral resources. We've had some pretty good success in holes 23 and 22, so we're starting to see some expansion down into this area here, and then as well into holes 24 and 25, where we've now identified around a 250 meter down dip a projection of the NG3 vein, which is in turn wide open for around 700 meters along strike, where it projects into the Itzit porphyry zone. So again, this is showing some relatively shallow, high-grade mineralization that's wide open both to depth and laterally, as well as mineralization around the camp vein, where we can systematically expand the high-grade zones that are already identified in the current block model. And so, what we have here in summary is the Silver Queen project as a premier gold and silver project with over 100 years of exploration and development. It has an initial mineral resources using a relatively high-grade cutoff at $100 NSR of 440,000 ounces gold equivalent. And this breaks out primarily into gold and silver mineralization with some base metal credits. We are planning an additional 15,000 meters of drilling for 2021, and we have a near-term vein target, gold silver vein target, to bring that resource from 440 up over 1 million ounces gold equivalent. And that's our target for the next resource update. We want to complete the 15,000 meters of drilling. So that should take us to about this time next year. We would hope to have a resource update on the project. We have existing underground development, just as a reminder, and this allows a fast track to production as we continue to build ounces in the ground, or put ounces into the ground. We also have the Monument and the WO Diamond projects. We're keeping those going, maintaining those projects, and these are located in one of the most prolific diamond producing districts in Canada, and we're waiting for the return of diamond price to allow more effective exploration of those targets as well. Okay, and that's really it. Thank you very much, and happy to take questions.
Excellent. Average true thickness on the camp and number 3 veins, mineral intervals in the 3 drilling rounds so far. What is the average true thickness?
Well, the average true thickness of the number 3 vein was between 2 and 2.5 meters, and that's based on the historic mineral resource. And so, I guess that's for the number 3 vein. The average thickness in the camp vein, it does pinch and swell. As you can see, that the estimated true thicknesses or downhole thicknesses have been upwards of 7 to 8 meters thickness. They would probably be closer to 5 to 6 meters in those thick zones, but it does skinny down, and you do get some other veins that may be more around 1 meter to 1.5 meters sort of thickness. The key aspect to the camp vein in particular is the high grade nature of that mineralization. So even if you are getting 1 meter thick vein, you have the grade that allows for that additional dilution to allow mining.
Any budget for diamond drilling into 2021?
We're planning on 15,000 meters, and so that's going to be in around the $3.5 million mark just for exploration and drilling.
Did you talk about how much cash you have on hand? Is it enough for the upcoming drill plan?
We do have some cash on hand, and it's over $1 million for G&A. There's several $100,000, about upwards of $500,000 for in flow-through funds that are dedicated specifically and entirely for exploration. We will need to do a raise to continue exploration on the property.
Any additional geophysics surveys planned in 2021?
Not at this time. Not at this time. We did complete in early December a drone. Actually, no, sorry, it was a helicopter. No, it was a helicopter survey, not a drone survey. They actually turned out to be almost the same price. We did a close-spaced helicopter airborne over the mine site, mine hill area, essentially the area of the veins that I showed in the maps. And that gave us some really good magnetic survey. Historically, there has been a ZTEM survey and a Quantec Titan survey on the project. So at this point, I think we're fairly happy with what we have right now. However, I guess you never say never. Maybe we want to do an IP survey at some point, but it's not on the books right now.
Okay. Stu?
Yep, thanks for the presentation, Rob. I guess following on from Campbell was just saying just then, what do you find, what exploration methods work best for you to help refine your drill targets here? Talk about geophysics then, and you might do an IP, like how do you find the best methods to, prove up your targets?
Well, I mean, we're incredibly fortunate that there is over 500 drill holes into this property. There was a focus on one area, or I guess really two areas. The number 3 vein, which was effectively, in the historic sense, drilled off to M&I category because it was historical data. When the resource modelers brought it in, they only brought it into an indicated and inferred. But in terms of the actual drill spacing, it was actually pretty tight. Again, there's about 50 drill holes drilled on the camp vein, and so right now I think our best method for exploration is just to step off known zones of mineralization, do some confirmatory drilling on areas where there is high-grade mineralization in historic drill hole, and then step out from that and continue stepping out and modeling as we go to figure out which way these veins go, how many veins we're targeting, and where we believe work in the structural modeling to get a sense of where and why the blowouts and the fat zones occur, so that we can we can chase them effectively.
Got it. And then this current summer program, how deep do you plan on drilling? I recall you said the deepest hole was 175 meters previously.
Yes, I mean, most of this is still going to be quite shallow drilling, relatively shallow drilling. My guess is that on any of these targets, if we get down to around 250 meters below surface, that'll be about, that'll probably be where we take it to date.
Yep.
We've laid out literally tens of, just as looking at all the different veins, and if we were going to drill here, we've laid out tens of thousands of meters, 10, 20, 30,000 meters of potential drilling in our foot, but we do want to keep it focused initially on the camp vein, and then work on a couple of these other targets as we continue testing this east-west, this 2.5 kilometer long east-west corridor in the vein set.
Got it. Thanks for that. And then, like, when would you envision you might have a resource upgrade?
I'd say about this time next year. We have to do about 15,000 meters of drilling. That'll take us into the winter of 2022, would be my guess.
Yep.
And then you'll need a month or two to probably 2 months to do a mineral resource. So my guess is about this time next year.
All right, sounds good. And so the Mannix Group came into this project about 1.5 years ago, you're saying. I was wondering, what were the acquisition terms, or how did you guys enter this, take control of the company and the project?
Yes, we assumed management
Yeah, got it.
of the company. This was a company named New Nadina. It had been around and it operated on this project. God, I mean, it even goes back into the 70s. There was the mining was done under the Bradina joint venture, which was a joint venture between the Braylorn company and the Nadina company. And so, you know, that same company, and it still is the same company, we've just simply renamed it, has maintained this project for decades. And then the earlier management decided, or was having some health issues, decided to retire. There was an interim management that was put in place for about a year, maybe a year and a half, and they were then looking for an exit. We were introduced to the project through a mining engineer that has worked with the Mannix Group for years, a fellow named Fred Svensson. Unfortunately, Fred has passed away this past year, but he introduced us to the company, and he was on the board of directors for Nadina. Their focus was a small mining operation, and Fred felt that that there was some additional potential. There was extra potential. So when that current management was looking for someone else to take it over and put a little bit more fresh blood into the into the project, Fred contacted us. I reviewed the project, and I just couldn't get over the grade, and just recognize that that it's not every day that you get grade like this, and you have to be able to put something that, you know, put together resources. You have to be able to put together a mine on this just based on the grades that I'm seeing, and it's been borne out so far in terms of our results. We've been able to confirm the previous exploration results, and we're seeing great potential to tie a bunch of this together and build this into new resources.
And there's 100% owned, isn't it? There's no, you know, legacy
100%
payments. Yep, great.
Yeah.
And you earlier in the presentation, you talk about some of the neighbours, you know, Imperial. I mean, some of the people in the area own some, you know, very large mines. Do you think like this is exhibiting, you know, a scale that could interest majors at the right time? You know, obviously it's a hypothetical question, but.
Oh, I think so, yes. I mean, if you look historically, just over these last few years, the Silvertip project in northern British Columbia was purchased by Core Mining for $200 million US. And then about 18 months later, the Barkerville project was purchased by Osisko Gold Royalties for $350 million Canadian. You know, and so I see these as ready analogs. You know, again, vein deposits, high grade vein deposits, and I see those as ready analogs for what we're trying to build here at the Silver Queen project. And again, you know, high grade, high margin deposits, and this allows projects like this allows the mid-tier miners, as well as, if it grows big enough, majors to come in and acquire the project or joint venture the project, you know, however that proceeds.
Yep. Great. Thanks for that. I'll pass on to Adam.
Oh, great. Thanks, Stu. Hey, Rob. Could you just, you know, you mentioned towards the end, you know, obviously the high gold and silver grades, but you mentioned towards the end the base metals, and so I was hoping you could give us, you know, a snapshot of the metallurgy as you understand it.
There has been historic metallurgy done, and we're starting to go down that road ourselves. I've had some correspondence with our contract metallurgist. He works with the Mannix Group, and he's having a closer look at it. The work that was done was, you know, get to, there's my appendix. Ah, there it is. Yes, the work that was done was done by Houston Minerals. You know, back in the late 80s, when they were doing the feasibility work on the project. They brought it, you know, they went underground, they collected, here I've got a photo of one of the chunks here. Yeah, there we go. That's some of the chunks of ore, some of which would have been from the number 3 vein, some of which would have been used in the pilot plant work that they did and the metallurgical test work. So they've identified 3 different concentrates: copper lead concentrate, a zinc concentrate, and a pyrite concentrate. The overall recoveries are over 80% gold recovery, 95% silver recovery, over 90% copper recovery, 90% lead recovery, and 98% zinc recovery. And so what we're looking at now, and I did speak with our metallurgist about this, is that, again, these are epithermal vein systems, and so there can be some deleterious elements that are are in the concentrates. He's seen those. He actually feels very, very enthusiastic that we can do better than what was done back in the late 80s. That there's another 30 years of metallurgical work that is that can be brought to bear on refining some of this work, and so we will be doing some as part of these programs moving forward. Much of it initially, I think, going to be on the camp vein, which has a slightly different metallurgy than the number 3 vein, and which tends to be maybe even a little bit cleaner and much more sulfur salt biased than maybe what we're seeing in some of the number 3 vein.
Hey Rob, can you sell a copper lead concentrate? Where would that go?
I don't know that right off the top of my head. I know others had looked at that, and in preparation for the technical report, as you recall, it's an NSR cutoff that was looked at, and there were zones, or there were areas that you could sell that. It may very well go to a smelter on the Pacific Rim. Maybe a smelter over in Korea or China or whatnot. And if that is the case, we are literally 300, 400 kilometers by highway away from that. You saw on a previous slide the highway 16. And yeah, there we go. That's Highway 16. That goes from Houston right up to Smithers and right through into Prince Rupert. And so that's deep water, tidewater. And if we do have to transport, transport smelters around the Pacific Rim, very easy to get there.
And so, changing the subject from metallurgy a little bit, can you talk about the property types and is this patented ground, unpatented ground? Is this, are there historic mining permits that can be updated or grandfathered?
This is, again, I guess there's a blanket of the MTO or mineral tenures, the standard provincial mineral tenures that cover everything on the property. There is a group of patented claims sitting in there, sitting in this area. 17 crown grants. These include 2 surface crown grants, and they occur right over the mine site area, and which is this area, this area right in here, in there. And so in terms of any mining permits, no, we would have to re-permit this, right from scratch. And to that end, there is a tailings facility in here, and so we are, we've sort of doing our annual reporting on this, doing all our testing, maintaining that tailings facility, and starting the process of looking into what's going to be involved in dewatering the workings, and then and utilizing the tailings facility to dewater the workings to provide underground access.
And what's your, I know it's some time off, and you guys are really still defining the resource and growing this asset, but given the tenure of the land here, what would you say, and given it's BC and pros and cons of that, what would you say the timetable is, once you have this asset defined well enough to build a mine plan? What would you say the permitting timetable would be?
Well, I mean, Pretium was done in 2-3 years. Once they actually had a resource, I think and I guess they must have had a feasibility. It was done a couple of years after the feasibility. A similar time frame, I believe, for Red Chris. And so there is a process. I think you have to start early. As you're exploring, start checking off these boxes on the environmental side and First Nations engagement side. So you have to start that process. But there are certainly examples throughout British Columbia where mining projects wouldn't necessarily say even fast track, but are the timelines are comparable with literally anywhere in the world, or certainly any first world country.
And Rob, given the high grades here and the potentially, relatively small footprint, depending on how big this thing gets, is this something that the Mannix Group would be willing to take on themselves?
I mean, we're historically explorers, and so the modus operandi is to develop a project and then bringing it up to a production decision, and then either joint venture it with somebody that has those skills, or sell it to somebody that has those skills. When I first joined the Mannix Group, that was in 2003, and the group had just completed a financing of Western Silver for 64 cents. They were over the moon. I think it took them about 6 months to do it. The markets were very, very tight at that time. Within 4 years, they had sold the Peñasquito project. Western Silver had sold the Peñasquito project for $1.2 billion. First to Glamis Gold, and then Gold Corp took out Glamis Gold. So that's what we try to do. This project, and that is, so far that's what my modus operandi is on this project. There may be a time that maybe we bring in the proper engineers and we bring in the people that can build a mine and then run a mine, which are, and again, those are two different skill sets. Building and running are two different skill sets. So I mean, there may be some opportunity to do that. Maybe we bring in people to build the mine and bring it, similar to the Silvertip project. It was JDS came in, they developed the entire mine. They were about to pull the trigger on opening, and that's when Core stepped in and bought the project. So it's in these situations, it seems to be as much as a matter of de-risking the project and getting it to a comfort level for a major to come in and take it out. And so we will take it as far as we need to get the right price for our shareholders.
Great. I will pass it on to Erdy if we have time for any more questions. We still have time.
Thank you. Thanks, Rob. You mentioned 20 plus vein structures. Can you tell us how you guys define these structures? All of them are drilled already?
Many of them are. This is in a little bit more detail on the different veins. There's over 50 holes in the Camp vein, about 5 or 6 in the number 5 vein. All of these are relatively shallow drill holes. In the switchback vein system, there's 4 holes right in there. There's probably about a dozen, maybe more, 20 odd holes in this area. That's the extension of the number 3 vein. That then transitions into the NG3 vein, and we have probably about half a dozen to a dozen holes in the NG3 vein system. The swamp target has several holes in it. The George Lake, there's about 6 or 8 holes in there. Sorry, George Lake South. George Lake itself, there was a cluster of holes that were drilled from underground. There's about 12, I think, different holes in the George Lake area. Coal Lake again has around a dozen, 15 different holes in there. And so this is what's really encouraging, is that much of this drilling is shallow. Much of this drilling hit high grade, plus kilo silver equivalent or whatever the gold equivalent is going to be, plus 10, 12 gram gold equivalent. And so that's what it really has us excited, is that there was so much of a focus on the number 3 vein system, trying to bring a relatively small resource into production, that there wasn't, we believe, enough focus on expanding, aggressively expanding the mineral resources on the property.
Did you guys the underground drilling that you mentioned?
We did not. We have not been underground. Currently, the underground workings are flooded, and so we are looking at what's going to be involved, draining the decline and utilizing the existing tailings facility to drain the underground workings.
And the current resource, like how many of these veins are included in that?
It is primarily the number 3 vein. There is a hanging wall vein and a footwall vein, and there's a little snippet right in there of the NG3, and you can see it right there. So this is the resource. There is a small hanging wall vein and then a footwall vein. Again, relatively limited extent, and then there's the NG3 vein.
I see. In the case of releasing a potential resource, I'm wondering how close it will be to the current resource. Do you think will it be accessible with the same infrastructure, or how separated it will be when you look at the current target areas you are focused?
I mean, some of the areas, and particularly if we can continue expanding the NG3 vein system, that area, you can see in green the workings coming right down to about here, and then the NG3 starts right here. So one would be able to, without much effort, extend the workings over into the NG3 area. The camp vein is adjacent to some historic and historic decline, but it really isn't accessed by the underground workings. However, that mineralization literally comes to surface. Yeah, I mean, you can. This is surface right in here, and you can see where some of these high grade zones of mineralization. I mean, there's one right here, literally right on surface here, or just a few tens of meters, 20, 30 meters below surface. Once you get underneath the quaternary or the ground cover.
Is there a historic operation at that camp vein too, or?
There is not. These are the Earl adits, and so that would be this adit that goes in here and extends through the number 3 and into the George Lake area. And so that's what this adit set is. So there are no workings currently here, but effectively you're starting from surface. And so it's relatively low cost to get on this. I mean, there's also the potential, I mean, I don't know, but there's also the potential to maybe skim off the top 100 meters as an open pit, and relatively low cost open pit. I think once you get down so far, though, you probably want to be underground with these veins.
Thank you, Campbell.
I think we're right on the hour. So I want to thank everyone for tuning in. Thank you for your great questions. Thanks, Adam. Thanks, Artie, Stu. Please share your feedback when you exit the webinar. Really appreciated by management. And the replay will be available in about an hour at amvestcapital.com/replays. So you can share it with other people or watch it again. So Rob, I'll turn it back to you to close today.
Yeah, well, thank you very much, Campbell, Stuart, Adam, and Erdy, and all of you out there that are that decided to sign on for the presentation. Yes, it's been a pleasure presenting, and you know, we're looking forward to continue working on the project and continue building value. And you know, please join us. Please invest.
Excellent. Thanks everyone for tuning in. Good night.